Welcome to the Featured Anime Podcast. I'm your host, Jack.
And I'm Rick.
And today's choice was chosen by Tobayashi067 on Twitter. And it was Welcome to Demon School, Iruma-Kun. It came out 2019, October, and ended fairly recently, and relative to when we're recording this, March 7th, 2020. It ran for 23 episodes long. Producers are NHK Enterprises, studio of Bandai Namco Pictures, with the genres of comedy, demon, supernatural, fantasy, school, and shounen. And I would actually even kind of classify this as an isekai.
I don't know that I would go with isekai.
He's technically teleported to another world, so I mean, you could make that argument, and I will very lightly, very lightly touch on that.
I won't argue that point. He is technically in another realm rather than another world, but yeah, I can see how that parallel could be placed. So a little history on this whole thing. I actually started watching this when it came out. I was intrigued and did not have the pleasure of being able to binge watch it like you did.
Yeah. Well, that sounds like a personal issue.
Not really. I was able to enjoy it thoroughly and have the suspense. There was a few episodes that it makes you think. Like, it gives you a week to mull over what's going on and stuff like that. And I thought it was really awesome that a few episodes were, I would call them cliffhangers to an extent, but it kept your imagination going. For instance, the dodgeball tournament, I guess, not even tournament, but trial, if you will, where he had to try to level up that way. I thought that was really awesome.
It was.
Prior to the actual event.
Yeah, and what's interesting and how we actually get to this point is Iruma-Kun is a human, and he is sold by his parents to this demon, Sullivan, this demon, one of the top 3 overall demons ever. Basically, the top 3 demons are there. So
now I'm going to skip ahead only to reference back. It'll make sense. The reason that Sullivan takes on Iruma is because he's jealous of the other 2 demons. The other 2 of, I would say, equal standing. What is kind of cool is every demon has a rank, and the Demon King is at the very top, and that throne has been vacant for quite some time. And we later find out that while Sullivan is in the running for being like put on the throne because he doesn't want it, and you find out the other 2 characters who are incredibly powerful and on his level don't want it either because it'll take time away from their grandchild. And one thing I thought was kind of cool was, even though Sullivan is powerful enough to take the throne, his rank is actually lower than the other 2 by choice because he, I guess, doesn't care.
He doesn't. So the rankings for them is 1 through 10, 1 being weakest, 10 being strongest. And the other 2 demons that are talking to Sullivan even say, you totally could be the 10th rank if you want to. Why don't you? And he's like, man, I just don't want to.
Gives him more freedom. But so the reason that he goes to the human world to get Iruma is to have a grandchild. And it's quite hilarious because the other 2 are like, I think it's time. We need to find out once and for all who's got the cutest grandkid. And they look at Sullivan and go, since you don't have a grandkid, you can be a neutral party. Which one of our kids is cuter? And he goes, well, actually, I've got one who's just as cute now. Yeah. And so it becomes like a 3-way battle of who's got the cutest grandkid. And it was a beautiful way to relieve a stressful situation, because prior to this, you're shown just dark, brooding figures. And in the way that things are going, you can just almost feel the tension in the room whenever they enter the room. And it's because of all of their subordinates. I don't know if they're intentionally scared of them or Like, I don't get it. But when they're alone, they're complete goofballs.
Well, they're goofballs regardless, most of the time, at least from what I can tell. And the same thing with Sullivan when it comes to Iruma-Kun. He is a doting grandparent, even though he's technically not a grandfather. And the other two even comment on that.
Yeah, they're like, hey, you cheated. He goes, no, it counts.
He said I could be his granddad, and that's what we're going with. Honestly, how it really starts off with, and how you're introduced to Iruma-Kun is, it's really kind of like, okay, we're going to go on this journey. He's going to be sent to this demon world, and he's going to go through his normal adventures. And if you're expecting something to be funny or adventurous or lighthearted all the way throughout, it's not really that, especially towards the later half.
Yeah, I think that they probably weren't expecting this to be popular. The artist was not expecting this to go on. And I think the second season, while I personally found it to be stimulating mentally, I don't think they were expecting it to go that far. Mainly because there was a trope that they were playing on really, really hard about Iruma. He does not have the ability to say no. If you ask him something, his default answer is yes. And that's because of the way his parents treated him. I don't know how he got to this mentality, but in his mind, if he wasn't useful, he wasn't worthy. And so if you asked him to literally do anything, he would say okay, which is what happened in the contract between him and his grandpa, Sullivan, his now grandpa, Sullivan. Sullivan goes, hey, would you like to be my grandkid? And originally he's like, not really. But then Sullivan goes, I really want you to be my grandkid. Would you mind?
And he even says, please. And he says he's begging, which
super polite.
Oh, yeah. And he's on his hands and knees. He's begging. He's being, almost crying, wanting to actually have Iruma-Kun be his grandchild. And they reiterate this, and this is one of the things that I really found troubling throughout it, is they constantly reiterate throughout it his triggers on why he can't say no.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, first couple episodes, I get it. But every single episode, you're kind of pushing it a little too much, and that's where it's kind of lost me. Now, it does have its funny moments. For me, personally, one of the characters I found completely hilarious, especially around 7 or 8, was Clara. And the reason why I say 7 or 8 is because during those episodes, you can go to school, you're taking classes except for demons and it's magic. She wants to become a succubus, so that way Iruma looks at her and only her. Well, her attractive rate is 2%, which is less than a baby. She's more pure than a baby,
or less attractive,
or
so
both.
The way that they're able to, or both. The way they're able to just tell this is you have a succubus teaching this class, and the teacher has the ability to find out someone's, I think it was either sexiness or attractiveness. I forget which one it was. And so we're about to come to my favorite character, and my favorite character isn't any of the big three, because you have Iruma and Clara and
Alice.
Oh, Alice. Yeah, I was gonna say I forget the third one because it was a super long name, but Alice is the short, more common version of it.
Actually, the short, more common version of it is AZZ.
Oh.
And
I thought it was like Asmodeus or something like that.
Well, yeah, his name is Asmodeus, but Clara calls him Az.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. So my favorite character, also in the same class as Clara for this particular thing, for the average person, I would say has zero, if not negative, sex appeal. It is a glorified starfish, maybe, with one eye.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. They never named her, but she definitely thinks she's hot stuff, and her score was just blurred out
so
because it
high
was
it's blurred.
no, not even so high that it's blurred. It was so bad that it blurred.
I don't know about that. I think it was too high because the reaction the succubus lady was like, how can it be that high? And every scene she is in, it is almost 100% about her being sexy. Like she's wearing this skirt that is, I would say, conservative for her body type. And when the wind blows, she goes, "Oh, you naughty, naughty wind!" And you're like, no one wants to see that. Like, what's going on here?
I know what it is. I know why. It's a matter of how you view yourself, and she thinks that she is hot stuff.
Oh, she thinks she is like lava hot.
And she is far from it. I mean, like I would equate this to maybe your level of attractiveness. I'm just saying.
You mean completely undeniable? Yeah. No, I understand that.
Yeah, whatever helps you sleep at night.
But it just baffles my mind because it's a running gag, and it's honestly refreshing because whenever she comes around, which isn't often, I think it's maybe 8 times or 9 times total where she has like talking lines, and every single time it's about her like, oh, you naughty thing, or just being bashful.
Yeah, and she is very infatuated with herself and how she looks too. In fact, she's so infatuated with herself that towards the last few episodes, she runs into an invisible wall, and there's this lipstick mark there, and she jumps up, and she's obviously happy with the lipstick mark that she left. So much so that everywhere she ends up hitting into this invisible barrier wall, it leaves that lipstick mark.
It was a tense situation, comic break. And yeah, I don't know. I don't really have any reason why she's my favorite other than she is.
Look,
maybe her charms worked on me. Who knows?
That is a very good possibility. You have some questionable taste sometime.
Well, things are okay that way.
True enough. But that, again, that's why I like I like Clara. For me, she was that comedic break. Right?
That's understandable. Well, she was also like, I have no idea why she has 0 or 2% attractiveness. It makes no sense because physically attractive, she's, I guess, decent as far as monsters go. She is a little annoying and immature. I will give her that. But her power, come on, you can't wish for a better power. As has fire, she can create whatever you want. You will never have a need ever when she's around because she can replicate anything she's seen. I want to say perfectly.
Yeah, basically.
One of the reasons why the shopkeeper hates her, because if she can see it, he's obsolete, which makes no sense to me because she goes and buys stuff from him all the time.
Because, at her core, she really does care. And at the end of the episode, when the succubus teacher looks at her again when she's walking away, and this is why I say it's in how you view yourself. When she's walking away, she goes, I don't know what changed about her. I don't know what caused this change, but now she's at a 10%.
I just thought it was maturity, but that makes sense. I guess I could see that. But I always, like, in the grand scheme of things, I always saw Clara go with Az more than anything else, as far as love interests go.
Yeah.
Like, I saw her marrying Az, not
Iruma.
Yeah.
Well, it's what's funny is she is completely infatuated with Iruma, and rightfully so, because unlike everyone else, Iruma didn't care that she would give him stuff, that she could replicate things. He actually just wanted to play with her.
Clara, unfortunately, has a really bad backstory, really sad backstory, I should say, where everyone thought she was annoying, but the fact that she could create stuff and give them what they want was enough to get them to pretend to be her friend. And it was sad. And then when Iruma came along and she's like, hey, we should play, she doesn't really give him a choice. And she goes relatively hard in the playtime. And he's like, all right, fine, let's do it. Because again, it goes, he can't say no. And you're like, okay, that's whatever. Again.
Yep.
At the end, right after like he's done playing, goes, Clara, you don't have to give me stuff anymore. I do not want you to give me stuff. And she goes, all right, fine. I just really wanted to play with you. And then Iruma goes, well, I don't mind playing with you. I just don't want you to keep giving me stuff. I don't need it. I'll gladly play with you. And that was, I guess, her turning point. And that's what made her, I guess, fall in love.
Well, the thing is when they're playing, and they had been playing for a few days, and she gives them drinks or treats or anything else, and they'll take it, but it's not a lot. She overhears the people that usually come to her asking for drinks say, yeah, he's just going to get tired of her just like everyone else does, and this and that, and blah, 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 blah. And, basically talking trash about her, and she hears. And that's what really spurs her to go up to him and just like, I'll give you candy, I'll give you this, I'll give you that, I'll give you everything you want, all of this stuff. And that's really at that point, he goes, I don't want it. I don't want all this stuff. I want to play. I just want to have fun. I really enjoy your company. Thank you. And as does too, actually, he's actually having fun with Iruma and Clara.
What I will say, which was kind of funny, was everyone who comes in Iruma's circle of friends, if you will, they don't really do so by design, by like their own free will. It's very weird in a main character kind of way where he sucks everyone of importance in. For instance, how did he meet Asmodeus? Do you want to say it or do you want me to?
By all means, go ahead.
All right. One of a really funny, one of the funny standout parts of this whole dynamic, right? So he gets to be day one. He shows up. He is the grandson of Sullivan, who also happens to be the school chairman. So that in itself is like, well, shit. My grandpa is the principal, more important than the principal. And the chairman's fawning all over him in front of everyone. And Asmodeus comes from a noble family who is super, I guess, noble and elite. Like Asmodeus walking on campus day one of school is still perceived to be probably grade 3 or 4 higher than everybody else. Just straight up, that's his lineage. That's what's expected of him. That's where it's going to be. And he, of course, makes perfect marks and is the top student. And he is scheduled to make the speech for the entrance students, right? Or the students' entrance assembly, I guess. And Sullivan goes, actually, I want the new kid, my son, or my grandkid, to make the speech instead. And Iruma completely gets blindsided by it. And he's like, I don't know what I'm supposed to say. And Sullivan gives him a letter. He says, just read this. You'll be fine. So he goes up there and he opens it up. He goes, I can't read any of this. Like, I don't understand it. And he looks around and Sullivan goes, read it. And so he reads it. And it's in a foreign language, of course, not English, not Japanese or anything like that. And each word gets a reaction from all of the school. And before you find out what it's for, you just assume that he's cussing and he's calling everybody out.
Well, it's not even that you would assume that. He's just saying something and everyone's cheering or acting in shock and terror or fear at every word that he's saying, only to find out that it's a forbidden spell. Yeah. That if you say it wrong, you blow up.
Yeah, if you say one word wrong, you self-destruct.
The positive end of that is that even though it's a forbidden spell and you have the potential to die, you will not fall down for one day.
Yeah, you won't trip. That's what that was for. And he walks off the stage, and Asmodeus is understandably upset, just straight up I can't believe you stole my thunder and you did something so reckless. Meanwhile, Sullivan's all like beaming and happy. And Iruma doesn't understand the severity of what he's done, essentially. And Asmodeus decides to challenge him a little bit later.
No, not even a little bit later, like right after the hall, he challenges him, and it's still day one after the assembly. And because of Iruma's upbringing, he's able to dodge everything.
Yeah, well, that's when you find out his, let's call it special skill. He had to dodge being hit and kicked and abused, essentially. So he gained an extra sensory, like, I can't be hit if I don't want to. Instinct, let's call it. And Asmodeus, who is super strong and super pristine, is throwing all these crazy spells at him. And Iruma's just dodging. You can't be hit. It's nuts. And so all the while he's like, I don't want to fight. We don't got to do this. And Asmodeus is like, why don't you fight back? What's wrong with you? And he charges him. And as Asmodeus is charging, he throws another fireball, and it misses Iruma and almost hits this one random girl that is a reoccurring random girl who falls in love with Iruma for saving her, but never really sees him again. It's weird. Anyway, the tripping spell is still in effect, and Iruma runs into Asmodeus on accident and starts to fall over. But because of the spell, instead of tripping, he ends up suplexing Asmodeus. And of course, that right there, a full-on German suplex, just straight up, perfectly performed. Some kid from the newspaper takes a picture, and that's what's plastered on every newspaper around. And later you find out that this duel wasn't an ordinary, normal stakes duel. It wasn't the victor gets to walk away and the loser, hangs his head in shame. It was the loser has to be the slave of the victor. And Iruma did not realize that until the next day when Asmodeus comes up and goes, hey, I'm your slave from now on. I'll be happy to do so. You have bested me in combat, and I am yours forevermore.
And that basically sums up episode 1 as well, which...
Imagine that, episode 1, and you're already that I was already hooked when I saw that. I was like, ooh, if they keep this level of energy and this level of surprise out, I'll be happy. Because also in episode 1, they sing the school anthem, which is essentially, I'm going to eat every human.
Yeah. But also keep in mind that no one there, with the exception of a select few, believes humans actually exist.
Well, yeah, it was weird. Like they treat humans like a myth, which makes no sense to me because you can cross over into the human realm, no problem. You can be summoned into the human realm, no problem.
Well, yes and no. But again, that's why they also have like the demon border patrol type thing for the otherworldly. So you have these group of individuals that know about it, but most people don't because it is a tightly kept secret because they don't want people freaking out or doing anything else. Because, there could be all kinds of issues and problems. I mean, like in general, all the humans would be able to, in effect, summon all the demons and make all the demons their slaves, even if it's for a year, and cause the demons to fight each other, which would be futile.
I don't know. I'm liking that. I just imagine Pikachu. I choose you. What the hell is that? It's Godzilla, but I call him Pikachu. Where did you get him? I summoned him. What now?
Yeah.
What now?
Well, just like aside from the details of how and where and what he is, just know that you're boned. Just throwing it out there. Just getting right out there. You're boned. Period. End of story.
And in order to hide his human, I guess, body, he gets dumped in this pheromone that makes him smell like an ordinary demon.
Yeah.
And he's always, for like first 5 episodes, I want to say, he's always on hinge that someone's going to find out he's human and then eat him. Come to find out that human blood actually heals demons, like straight up magic elixir style.
Yeah. Well, maybe.
I mean, his does.
His does. But we don't know because at the end, he's completely different from the entire thing. With like the last 30 seconds of the episode, he is completely different.
That was a twist. That was a twist.
Additionally, let me point this out, because he's not able, at least to his knowledge, to use magic, right? And he ends up getting this ring of greed, and it has Sullivan's magic power in it.
Well, no, it's not originally.
Not originally, but he does get it.
But the ring of greed sucks in all magic energy without fail. And Sullivan has enough magic to sate the desire of the ring.
Right. So here's my thing. Right? Before he even had that, episode 1, he reads out a spell.
That's true.
He reads out a spell, and he's able to successfully use said spell.
Is it potentially because it's a forbidden spell? Is it maybe that the high cost of, if you say it wrong, you can die, that it'll work for anyone? Like, potentially? Because all the rest of the spells they use don't have these
incantations?
I was going to say ramifications. But yeah, incantations too.
But a lot of them actually do have an incantation.
Yeah, I was going to say they have the one word you use, but they don't have the repercussion of if you do this wrong, you're going to die.
Right. But even still, I mean, like, that's unique. He shouldn't be able to use magic in general, and yet he does day one.
In that one particular time, yeah. Every other time he was using Sullivan's magic. But again, I think it falls back to the classification of that magic. It's considered forbidden, maybe because nobody needs magic to use it. It's an incantation that gives power unto itself by the risk you give. Like, we don't really know where magic comes from or how to utilize it. So
true, but then again, also everyone there has magic. Some have almost no magic, but they still have magic nonetheless.
Fair. And yeah, you do achieve a hierarchy of sorts due to your magic, which is a very, very large focal point of the second half of the series, of the second series. But yeah, no, I always thought that everything they did in there was hilarious. They put a very dark spoof. And by dark, I mean, like, when they originally introduced something, it's dark and brooding and terrifying. And then when it's revealed what happens, it completely subverts your expectation. And you're like, wait a second, that's what that is? Dear Lord. Like, forbidden text. So head of security in the school is this tall, red-haired chick.
Class president.
Class president, yeah. Gorgeous chick by every standard on the demon scale. And this girl has a weird sense of, I'm going to call it purpose, because she comes across these little, I'm going to call them teeny bopper demons, destroying a wall. And she goes, how dare you destroy school property like that? If you're going to do it, you do it like this. And she kicks the wall and it just destroys everything. She goes, if you're going to destroy something, do it properly in the name of a demon. And she successfully works out that Iruma is human, because she herself has what they call forbidden texts. Not forbidden spells, forbidden texts.
In other words, these forbidden texts are manga.
Yeah. And she hides them in her office, essentially, behind a bookcase that she pulls a book forward and it slides away. And she goes, these are from the human world, and these do this and these do that. But I have no idea what they say because I've never been able to read it before. Maybe Iruma could. So she summons him, and everything that happens in the anime or in the manga is happening here. Kind of. But
then also at the same time, it's what she really wants to try and reenact, because she's infatuated
it's all
with
in her
it.
head, I would say.
Yeah, and she's infatuated with Iruma because he's able to read them and he's acting out the scenes for her in a matter of speaking, at least vocally. He also, ironically, the texts that she's reading, he helped write.
Yep. The I forget what portion of the development part approached him and was like, hey, would you mind helping? And of course, it goes back to the whole, he never said no because he couldn't. And so he helped create the manga that she's reading. So he already knows what's going on and where everything's going. And it's really funny to hear him narrate. I did enjoy that little subplot. And that's the chick I think deserves to be with Iruma.
Yeah.
Her dad is head of Border Patrol Security. She's the head of the school president. And he, in every opening scene, you can see someone sitting on the demon throne, and you look at it, looks very, very similar to him with the ring, with the hair, with everything. And there's a prophecy that says that the Demon King will be able to heal demons. Vaguely, it says that. And so as you're watching, you realize, yeah, this is him. This is the one that they're talking about. This is just his journey to get there.
Yeah, and then at the end of the series, it's most definitely, yeah, it's him. It's like, there's no question about it.
At the end of the series, like, it was a full-on twist. The entire time you're watching it, Iruma's very kind, very respectful, very on top of things, very humble. The last 30 seconds, it goes something along the lines of, he actually wanted to be here. And then Sullivan comes in saying, hey, I made breakfast for you. What's going on? And you hear him go, shut up, old man. And you're like, wait, what? And then you look at him. His eye color changed. His voice changed. His hair color changed. Like, his eye shape changed. And you're like, whoa, he was a great demon. Like, what happened? He didn't evolve. And for some weird reason, Iruma always has an amazing Goku style appetite.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is never stopped all the way throughout, which is a running gag all the way throughout.
Well, what I thought was quite funny is they actually tried to, for lack of a better term, make fun of it to where when he's ranked the lowest of the demons in his ranking because he wasn't technically able to show his magic capability, he was ranked the lowest. And as the lowest, you're only allowed certain foods from the cafeteria. Well, people one rank above him were like, we're going to give him the worst crap we can, and just loaded him up with like 100 different servings. And he's like, sweet, free food, and he gobbles it all down. And they're like, whoa, let's not do that again. You didn't have the desired effect.
Which was great. It was good. It was a good turnaround in that he didn't let it get to him. He just saw it as a perfect opportunity to stuff his face because he didn't know when he would be able to eat again.
Yeah. And now what I kind of got away from this was, this is how demons are. This is what demons do. And a little bit later, you find out that one of his classmates is an undercover pop star, essentially. And the reason that they have undercover pop stars is to release all the negative pent-up aggression that demons that don't necessarily suffer from, that demons get. The reasons that we see demons as people, as evil beings, is these things are negative. They have these pent-up aggression that they unleash upon the world, essentially. But with their new civilization and these new pop stars, this is another way to release that negative emotion and feeling better. It's basically they're able to throw a tantrum or go to a concert, release all of their
stress,
pent-up everything, stress, and they're happy as a daisy again.
Yeah. Although I would argue that they're not secret pop stars or pop idols. The only one that is secretly being a pop idol is this character. Kuruma, I believe is her name.
Yeah, it was weird. I heard it many times. I just can't replicate it.
Well, they were flip-flopping in between like two to three names for her all the way throughout when you actually get a name. So it kind of threw, and it was only for 2 episodes too. It was like 2-3 episodes, and then that was it.
But anyway, so I thought that was the way the demons were, and I was wrong. Season 2 focuses on a demon that has no magic energy. And when Iruma is looking for a battler to join... You mean
the second half, not second season?
Second half, yes. I apologize. So when Iruma was looking for a battler or a club, if you will, they have different names for funny things. But anyway, so Iruma is looking to join a club because apparently you're supposed to. Ironically enough, Clara joins the Succubus Battler or the Succubus Club.
She wants to join, but Iruma and Az say basically dissuade her from that. So that's a no. And what they end up doing is they end up joining the exact same magic, or not magic, but the same battler that Iruma-Kun wants to join, which is the magical apparatus battler, or the magical apparatus club.
And the head of that club has little to no magic. He's able to make barriers that are able to be near impregnable, but he's got a collar on that's been absorbing his own demonic magic for a very long time. And you get to see it from his point of view, where people of his stature, people of his magic capability are looked down upon because they'll never progress from the lowest grade of demon ever. Yep. And you see how upset and how unfair this power structure is. Now, with that, you also find out what kind of demon he is. You only find that out in I'm going to call it his finale, when he's found out to be a not so nice person, a bad person, let's call it. And you find out that he is what is considered to be an original mentality of a demon who thrives in despair and disgust. And he was talking about how as a kid, he had no magic basically. And his friend also had no magic. And his friend was picked on relentlessly. And when he tried to help his other friend, the bullies essentially ripped something valuable off of his friend and threw it in the river. Well, he used his, what do you even call it? Glass shield?
The barrier. He simply calls it barrier. And he does it to try and save it, but he breaks his concentration. And so it breaks and falls in the water. And when he looks at his friend is completely distraught and full of despair over this trinket that had fallen because it was a memorabilia for her grandmother. But for him, when he saw that face of despair, it got him excited. He loved it.
It was euphoric.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't just the fact that this trinket was lost. It was that it was lost, saved, and then lost again. Like, that's what got him to feel some kind of way. And then when he was like, to replace your thing, he ripped off his own horn and tried to give it to her. And the look on her face was sheer and utter disgust. And he felt, I don't know if it was erotic, but he felt wonderful.
Oh, I would definitely say erotic. And this is where the comedy portion of it really disappears for like almost 2 episodes.
Yeah.
They do have a little bit of comedic relief, but it basically disappears for a couple of episodes.
Yeah, they go hard in the paint.
Yeah,
they go hard.
Real serious, real quick. And that's honestly where it kind of lost me. It was like you're having fun all the way throughout, and then it just goes stone cold hard, and then it tries to lighten it up a little bit more again towards the end.
It does not do a good job.
No. You could definitely tell the last few episodes, at least for me, felt rushed.
You think so?
I would say that it definitely felt a little rushed. Like, they were getting close to the end. They wanted to wrap it up and get to that cliffhanger ending for him and just kind of write it off like that. Because that's basically what the last episode was anyway, was a lead up to, I'm comfortable in this life and I'm happy here and blah, 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 blah. And then it ends with the last 30 seconds of him going, hey, old man, what do you want this early in the morning?
I didn't think it was rushed. I thought they had a nice conclusion. I do think they had 1, maybe 2 filler episodes that were not needed at the end. Like, they were just trying to fluff it to make it last long enough. And then they realized their mistake and then threw a bunch at the end. Yeah. But I don't think it was rushed in the sense of other anime we've encountered.
True enough. Fair enough. Well, with all that being said, sir, I think this is a great spot to give a rating on a scale of up to 10. How would you rate this?
My rating, I actually enjoyed this. I would watch this again, and I would encourage all of you to watch it. My rating would be a 9. It's got decent animation. It's got a good, funny, lighthearted plot, and it's being dubbed right now, which is kind of cool. And it is something that I hope gets a second season. I hope they continue with this. Not necessarily as long as Naruto ran, but I think 1 or 2 more seasons of it, not 24 thing run, but like another 24 episodes. And I'm sure you could probably progress with some time skips to reach the final, hey, I'm the Demon King now, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I would be satisfied with that. I don't think they should have it run on too much longer, but I would definitely would like to see a progression.
All right.
So what about you?
I actually got to go a lot lower than you.
How, what, by a lot? Are you talking 1, 2, or
3 lower than you? I'm going with a 6.
Oh,
I'm just joshing
really?
you. No, I'm going with a 7.
I was gonna say.
I'm matching last week's.
I was gonna say, wait a second. I thought you had some good things going there.
Yeah, no, it was great. It was good. It really lost me during the last like 5 or 6 episodes, though. That's where I kind of felt betrayed during the last 5 or 6 episodes. It was great, and then it just kind of tapered off. That's why I got to go with the 7. Animation's good. Kind of vaguely reminds me a little bit of Soul Reaper.
Really?
The animation, at least for how they present the school.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, like, I was trying to think like that. Soul Reaper had a really dark ending. Like they didn't go this.
Oh, yeah. No, I was talking about just the animation style, just a little bit for the school. Not much else. It was clean animation. It was good. It was very comedic up